Hey y'all, and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Amber, and on my channel we talk about affordable handbags and accessories. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and let's hang out. So for today, I'm going to share with y'all the items that I have picked up from Vera Bradley, the retail side of Vera Bradley, since they did their rebrand last year. And then I'm going to give y'all kind of my overall thoughts on the rebrand. Some things I like, some things I dislike, just kind of my overall feeling on it. So I'm going to share the items with you first. That way, when I give you my overall thoughts, I can actually go back and kind of reference those and use them to show you what I'm actually talking about. So I have 2 bags and then like a handful of little accessories that I've picked up. I haven't picked up a lot. I have picked up a few items from the Vera Bradley outlet side, and if you're interested in seeing those, just let me know. But I only have a few to share with you right now. So let's start with the smaller items, and then I'll show you the 2 handbags. Okay, so the first item I picked up is the little Airpods case, and this still has the tag hanging off of it because I haven't used it yet. There's nothing wrong with it. I am a sucker for little zip pouches, and that's exactly what this is. It's just a little open compartment zip pouch. There's nothing else to it. This one is in the nylon. The pattern is called... I don't know what the pattern is called, but I will number all of these items on screen in the corner up here like I normally do, and I'll list them in the description box for you. That way, if you're interested, you can go straight to them. But this one is in like the nylon fabric. Like I said, I don't remember what this pattern was called, but it's really cute. And it's just an open zipper pouch. And on the back, you have the little O-ring that has the quick release on it. So you can use this like a bag charm or hook it to any of your handbags. And like I said, I'm a sucker for little zipper pouches. I just haven't used this one yet. I actually got this one quite a while ago, and to be honest with you, I think I forgot I even had it. The second item I picked up is the zip card pouch, and I actually have 3 of these. I have one in the nylon, in the... I don't know what this color was called, but it's kind of that yellowy green or greenish yellowy color. I picked up one in the leather in the metallic purple, and then I also picked up this, I think it was just called olive green. This one was in the performance twill, I think is what they call it now. It had a different name or a different fabric name when I picked it up. But the last time that I looked at it online, I think they're calling this performance twill again. So none of these have tags because I have used all 3 of these. As far as this item goes, this is probably my absolute favorite item that they came out with after the rebrand. These are incredibly simple. There are no pockets on the outside, nothing on the front or back. You just have the top zip closure that goes across the top and down one side. Inside you have a key ring. This is not a quick release. This is a traditional key ring. There you go. You might see it better right there. And then it is just one open pouch. So I'm not a person that uses a wallet with individual card slots. I find those to just be more of a pain than they're worth. So I take all of my items and chuck them in one slot or 2 slots or whatever I'm using, and then I just run through and find whatever card I need. So these have worked out fantastically for me, just for the way I use them. You could also use these as a little catch-all, a little tiny makeup pouch, whatever you want, honestly, because it is just a literal zipped pouch. Now, I will say I think the pricing on some of them can be a little bit ridiculous. I don't have any in the regular cotton, but I think those are $15 regular retail. The nylon and the performance twill might be $20. And then the canvas might be $30. And the leather might be $40. I'm not sure. $15, I'll pay that. $20, I'll pay that. When you get over $20 for a literal, just this simple little zipper pouch, I think it's getting ridiculous. But that's just me and my tight ass, I guess you would say. They are worth it, like I said, because I've used all 3 of these an absolute ton already. But I'll wait for them to go on sale and I'll get them when they're half off. So, great item. I just recommend getting it on sale. And then the last small item that I picked up are these 2. And these were called, or are called, the Accordion card case. So I didn't see these online. I actually had a few minutes to run into a Vera Bradley retail store like a month ago when we had left one of my mom's appointments. And I just told you guys I am a sucker for a little zipper pouch. When it comes to my wallets, I don't separate my cards. So when I saw these, that they have brought these out, I was like a moth to a flame. I'm just going to tell you. It was like I walked in there and I beelined for these, and I didn't even know they existed at the time. But when I went to pick them up, I think they were both 50% off. There was some kind of sale going on at the time. And so this one retailed at 50, so I think I paid 25 for this one. And then this one, I don't have the tag attached. Yeah, this one retailed at 60, so I think I paid 30 for it. Now, I just told you that the zip card case that I love and use all the time, I won't really pay over $20 for. But to me, I justified the price of these because these aren't a single zip compartment. Let me get closer and show you. There's nothing on the outside, but when you open them up, you have 3 individual compartments in here. So you have one in the middle here, and then one on the other side. So in my mind, I thought, great, I can put my cards in one slot. I can throw my change in the center if I have any and put my cash on the other side and keep it really nice and neat and organized. Well, let me show you something. Okay, I just grabbed a couple of like old store cards to show y'all. But like I mentioned, there are 3 compartments inside these, right? So one on each side and then in the center. So on this side, I can take the cards and they go in relatively easily. In the center, they go in relatively easily. But when you get to this back side, where this tag is in here, I don't know what it is. Well, of course they go in easier now because I just stretched it all out and I'm trying to show you that I couldn't get them in there very easily. But something about that tag makes them want to catch on the back side. And another thing that I noticed, especially on this nylon one, more so than the leather, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it really well in here, but the lining in these isn't sewn very tight to like the outer body of the bag. So there's excess fabric that can bunch up in the corners. And when it does that, again, it makes the cards not want to go in there very smoothly. So like I said, the leather one works better. But this nylon one, let me see if I can show you in this one. Can you see how loose this fabric is and like how it wants to bunch up in the corners? This one was so much more difficult. I tried to put all of my cards and stuff in there. So I got it on that side, okay. And then the center, if you can see that, that fabric is bunched up in the corner again, and it's not wanting to let this corner go down, or this corner of the cards go down right. And then this back section, where all that fabric is bunched up in the corner, I can shove them down in there, but it's just, I don't know. It doesn't look like I'm struggling that much with it right now, but for whatever reason, where this interior lining just isn't sewn very tight to the like outer body, it just wants to bunch up, and then I have a hellacious time trying to get my cards in and out of here. So I haven't properly used either one of these yet. I still like them because they're just a zipper pouch with 3 little compartments in there. I may repurpose them and not even use them like a wallet. I may just use them more like little catch-alls. I do wish that these still had the keyring on them like the regular zip card case, but these don't, so there's that. But I haven't used them yet because these just aren't as good and convenient as the zip card case. So if I were to recommend one of these to you, the accordion card case or the zip card case, I would say go with this one every single time. But I guess I could show you really quickly, like, these will expand fairly deep, so you could get a good amount of things into them. I would just caution you and say, if you're going to buy the accordion card case to use as a wallet, just know that the lining seems to be a little loose, and it makes actually getting your cards in and out not the easiest. So I don't find these two to be the absolute most functional as wallets. Okay, now I'll share the 2 bags that I picked up with you. So the first one is the Foxberry Crossbody in, I think this was called like Syrah Floral. This is on a navy background, which I normally don't go for. I'm not a big navy person. I tend to go for black or gray or one of those. But of all the patterns that were available, I liked this one the best. So I looked at this style online several times, and I did almost purchase it several times in other materials and in the nylon, but I never did for a couple of reasons. And then the day that I got to run into that retail store when I picked up the accordion card cases, this was in the clearance section. I want to say it was 30% off at that time. So I think this retailed at 115, and I think the discount brought it down to about 75-ish. So I played with it a little bit in the store, because looking at it online, I couldn't tell if this nylon was going to be rigid and structured, or if it was going to have no structure and it would just puddle in on itself. I just wasn't sure, plus a few other things that I had concerns about. But when I played with it in the store, I liked it enough that I wanted to give it a try. And I'm also normally not a person that likes compartments inside my handbags. I prefer one large open compartment. So that was another reason I hesitated on this one. But after I saw it in the store and I realized that the bag does have some structure to it in this nylon. I can't speak to the other fabrics that this is made in because I didn't play with those. But in the nylon, this does have a little bit of... It's not hard, like it'll move and bend all over. But there is a little bit of reinforcement or support around the edges and like where each compartment is sewn together, and around the top where the zipper is. There's enough reinforcement to it that it won't puddle in on itself. And so I decided to give it a try. So this bag style comes with the little string strap that you just slide to adjust. And then on one side you just have the print with a flat panel. And then on the opposite side you have the print with a slip pocket that has the hidden magnetic closure, which I really like. And then you have a full zipper top, and the zipper does extend out, so you can really unzip it and get in there pretty well. But I'm not a fan of the little tail piece hanging out, so I tuck it in, because on this end where the zipper is, or the zipper tail is, all 3 compartments have a little open space right here, and I just tuck the tail in the middle one. And then on the inside, on the wall against the slip pocket right here, you have a zipper pocket, and then just the open compartment. And then in the center, you have another large zipper pocket. Nothing in there, it's just one open pocket or compartment. And then on the wall that doesn't have the exterior pocket, you just have another open compartment. So this bag, just as it is very flat. But let me put a few things in it and I'll show you. This thing really expands. Okay, I literally just took some t-shirts and folded them and put them in here to show y'all. But you can see how much that's really poofed out toward the bottom and expanded. The top will do the same. If you do it too much, you won't be able to zip that top zipper. But you can see how much it's opened up. And I will say that even when you put items all the way down to the bottom that poof out each compartment, there is enough space for those compartments to kind of wing out from the center so that those items will still stay at the bottom, if that makes sense. So I'll show you what I mean. Like, I just have a t-shirt folded and put down in there. So you can see, you know, that's probably 1.5 inches of space on that one. The same thing in the center. That one's probably about 1 inch or so. And then the same thing on this furthest compartment. So there really truly is a lot of space inside this bag. You just have to be okay with it kind of turning into a little triangle from the side when you fill it up. And it can hold as much or as little as you want. If you want it to stay closer, you know, more flush to your body, you can put fewer items in it and it won't bulk out as much. And then The strap, like I said, is just that slide adjustment. I carry it as a shoulder strap or a shoulder bag like this. That's how I prefer to carry it. But you can also slide this all the way out. And it does slide fairly easily. Both little knots will kind of meet at the very top. And that is how long it is on me at its absolute maximum length. So it's plenty long enough for me to be a crossbody. I just don't wear it that way. I prefer it as a shoulder bag. So that is the first bag that I picked up, the Foxberry Crossbody. And then the second bag that I picked up was one of the leather pieces. So it did come in this little dust bag. And I picked up the Taber shoulder bag in the metallic purple. 100% off the bat, I will tell y'all, I got this because of the color. This metallic purple is gorgeous to me. I absolutely love the color of it. And I know that there were a few other styles that came out in the metallic purple as well. But the only other one that I really was somewhat interested in was the, was it called the Roxbury? I think I'm getting that mixed up because I just showed you the Foxberry. It was some little shoulder bag. I'll insert a photo right here really quickly to show you which one I'm talking about. But ultimately, that's not a very big shoulder bag. And so I already have quite a few shoulder bags that are that size or a little bit, you know, a little bit of a smaller shoulder bag. But I didn't have anything at the time like this. So this is the one that I went for. I don't think I actually gave you my overall thoughts on this Foxberry Crossbody. Overall, I do like it. I would recommend it with a few caveats, and we'll get into that when I give you my thoughts on the overall rebrand. Now, this one, I have very, very mixed feelings about. So let me show you the features and all of that, and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Okay, so as of right now, it's just kind of like a clutch, right? It just, no strap or anything. But it does come with a strap, a shoulder strap only. And it is a slide adjustment leather shoulder strap with gold hardware on it. And the strap connects to these two little loops sticking off the top. Two little leather loops. So it does connect really, really easily. And this was pretty much where I had it. I can get it on my shoulder at this length, but that's not what I did with it. I just carried it on the crook of my arm or just like hand carried it. Sometimes I would shorten it a bit more to do that, but I'll get into that in a minute. So the bag itself, let me take this shoulder strap back off for a minute. So the bag itself, no exterior pockets, and it is poofy. I took the stuffing out, so you can see like it'll flatten down, but there is a little bit of some kind of reinforcement in the bottom just so it doesn't sag down. Now the bottom is not hard, you can see that, but it does have something down there just to help hold the weight of your items up a little bit. And then it is a magnetic closure. Now, one thing I'll say right off the bat, well, there's a few things I'm going to say. I hate this strap. I absolutely despise this strap. I'll get into that more later, but I hate the slide adjustment. I hate the length of it. If you try to use it as a shoulder bag, you can adjust, you know, the strap to be longer. But if you go to the maximum length and you put these little knots together at the very top, then what happens is when you have your things in the bag and you want to wear it on your shoulder, those little knots sit right at the very top of your shoulder. And even though I don't carry anything super heavy, my bag isn't super heavy, after maybe like an hour, those little knots start to dig in. And they are uncomfortable. So that's when I pulled it a little bit to get the knots away from the very top. And I thought that would be better, that I could use it more comfortably like that. But using it like this, you see I have a knot in the front of my shoulder and a knot toward the back of my shoulder. And even though, you know, they're not pressing down on my shoulder like when they were at the top, they still start to dig in around my shoulder. And I found those really, really uncomfortable. So that was when I shortened the strap. And I just started hand carrying it, throwing it over the crook of my arm, or I just took the strap off altogether and just started carrying it like a clutch. And I did do that a couple times. Another thing that I have a little bit of a qualm with when it comes to this bag is I showed you it's just a magnetic closure at the top, right? But there's nothing up here to help you kind of grab onto the edge of that frame and pop it open. And so I know what's going to inevitably happen over time is I'm going to wear the leather out if I continue to use this very much. Because you're going to keep grabbing the same spots around that frame, and your hands are going to keep rubbing against those exact same spots right around the edge to pop this open. And I'm going to have little worn spots on the leather that covers this frame. So I think it would have been smart if they would have put just a little tab or something there, or like the little metal kiss lock piece where you could just pop it open instead of having to continuously rub against this leather. But who am I? I'm nobody. I'm not a designer. On the inside, you can see it's just one large open compartment with a zipper pocket along one wall. I also think that these little leather tabs where you connect the strap could have been better. Those should have been metal, or they should have been able to like tuck in the bag and then pop out or something, because these just being little leather loops, again, if you connect that strap very much, or even if you just leave the strap on as you're using it, this metal is going to rub against this leather and it's going to wear it down as well. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. But this will hold quite a bit. I can say that for it. Like, here are those same 3 like shirts, and they go in there no problem. The bag closes just fine. It's kind of like a little football. Like, it'll expand. It holds quite a lot. I do think it's really, really cute. But I was out with this bag one day and I found out that it has one more issue that really pissed me off. So I had this in the grocery store with me, right? I had it on the crook of my arm and I went to set it down in my cart for a second, like the little child seat in my cart, because I was grabbing something off a shelf. I went to set it down. But I don't know what I did. I just kind of bumped it or jarred it a little bit when I went to put it in the cart. And what happened was that it popped right open on its own. And that's all it takes is one good little rustle and it pops right open. And that's unacceptable to me, honestly. Like, my items, when they're in here, should be secure. This bag is closed. It should stay closed. It shouldn't be popping open on its own. So that really irritated me a lot. So in good faith, I can't recommend this bag. I will say that with a caveat though. Maybe mine is defective. Maybe the magnet that holds mine closed just isn't as strong as the others. I don't know. Mine could be defective. But based on everything that I know about the bag that I received, I can't recommend this one, even though I do actually like it despite all of its flaws. So when it comes to the strap, I quit using this strap altogether. Where there is absolutely no hardware that shows on the outside of this bag, I just started using a gold or silver chain with it and used it as a shoulder bag because I hate that strap. As far as the bag popping open the way that it did, I try to just be really careful and not kind of jar it or rustle it around too much. It has a good capacity. The leather on it is fine. Like, I don't think it looks or feels like the most high quality leather ever, but I think the purple is just beautiful. I just love this shade of purple, this bluey undertoned purple. So I'm gonna keep using it because I bought it and I like it. There are just a few issues with this bag that I feel like you should really be aware of before you commit to it. So that is the Taber shoulder bag. Okay, so I shared the items with y'all that I've picked up since the rebrand. So let me give you kind of my overall thoughts on the actual rebrand itself. So I actually have a page of notes here because if I don't have some sense of direction, I will ramble forever and we'll be here forever and I probably won't ever get to the point. So I actually wrote my notes out in kind of a likes and dislikes kind of way, and then my overall thoughts. So that's really what I'm going to share with y'all. I'm going to share with you guys my major kind of gripes with the rebrand, the things that I like, and then just kind of my overall feeling. So I'm going to start with my dislikes, and then we'll go to my likes. So maybe it'll be a little bit better. So I have about 5 or 6-ish points for both sides. So starting with my dislikes, and these are just kind of my most major points for each side. First, on my dislike side, I have the straps. So they brought out all these new styles, and they were all kind of redesigned, right? So the tote styles and like the travel bags pretty much kept the same straps that they had always had. But the crossbody bags and the shoulder bags, and I should clarify when I'm giving you my overall thoughts on the rebrand, I am primarily focusing on the handbags themselves, not the travel items, home, stationery, not even really the accessory pieces, mainly the handbags, because that's my biggest draw to the brand. So that's really what I'm focusing on, and I just kind of want to make that clear. But I hate the straps. Like I said, the totes, travel bags, they kind of kept the same style straps that they had before. But the shoulder bags got new straps and the crossbody bags got new straps. So primarily on the crossbody bags, I can't think of any of the crossbody bags that don't have this style strap. Now, this one is just a shoulder length, but the crossbody bag straps are designed the exact same way, just like on the Foxberry Crossbody, where it's these 2 strings, the knots, and you slide it to adjust it. I have so many issues with this. Like I mentioned with the Taber shoulder bag, when you slide these knots to the top to get the maximum length, which is another issue we're going to talk about regarding the straps, they dig in and they're horribly uncomfortable. If you keep the straps down and you want to use just these little strings, these are not very supportive, so the little strings themselves can start to dig in. Plus, again, they're just not supportive. Not to mention, if you adjust this style strap very much over time, what's going to happen is it's going to create all this friction from the fabric of the knot rubbing against the fabric of the actual string strap itself. And what's that going to do? It's going to break that fabric down and wear it out over time. These straps are a horrible design, in my opinion. Now, I get it that the individual string strap is a throwback to the olden days with Vera Bradley, right? I was one of those young, like 14-year-old girls that had the little pouch crossbody that was literally just a little zipper pouch on a string. The strap was not adjustable. If I can find a photo of one, I'll put it in here for you just in case you're unfamiliar. But it was just a zipper pouch about like this, zipper across the top. I don't think it had any interior or exterior pockets, and it was on a string. And if you wanted to make that strap shorter, you tied a knot in the top of it. So I guess in their mind, the string strap is a throwback to the good old days, and then they gave us an upgrade where we can actually adjust the string length a little bit. But I hate it. I hate everything about it. As we move further along in time, we're supposed to modernize and innovate and make improvements. We're not supposed to take really great, really comfortable, adjustable, functional straps and get rid of those and then bring back something that doesn't function as well, doesn't look as good, isn't as comfortable, and is going to wear out quicker. Not to mention, let's get into strap lengths. So again, I'll put in a few photos here. I went back through and I started looking at the lengths on the actual crossbody straps. I'll come back to the shoulder bags in a minute. But on the crossbody bags themselves, before the rebrand, I cannot remember if it was 54 or 56 inches. Maybe it was 52. It was 50 something, 52, 54, or 56 inches that the majority of our bags had in length. And most of them were on a slide adjuster. So you could get a really, really customized fit for your crossbody bag or your shoulder bag, however you wanted to carry it. But you had a lot more length to play with and work with. So if you were taller, curvier, a little bit bigger, those bags would fit most anybody. Now I'm noticing that on the majority of the crossbody bags, we have lengths that average about 48 to 49 inches. There were some I saw that only went to about 46 inches. And then there was one I saw that did go to 50, I think. No, I found one crossbody style. It was the original Zip Hipster, this style. Still has a crossbody length of 56 inches that you can work with. On the other hand, the small Taber crossbody only has 46.5 inches of length for you to work with. And like I said, the others, they tend to average out at about 48 or 49 inches in length. So not only did they give us, in my opinion, an inferior strap, they shortened it as well. Okay, now if we go to the shoulder bag side of it, okay, so the majority of the shoulder bags, and I'm talking about the bag styles that are shoulder bag only, have a strap that is fixed onto the bag, so you can't even remove it, which the majority of the crossbody bags I feel like also had a fixed strap where you couldn't remove it. Either way, the majority of the shoulder bags, like I said, they have a fixed strap, so you can't remove it, and then you can adjust it to 2 lengths. Super short for hand carry or over the crook of the arm, or the longer length to actually put it on your shoulder. And the way that it works is with like a little button snap. So you have these little buttons. I don't know if I can't remember if it's a button on each side or if there's just one button that holds it in place. Either way, for the shortest length, you have both sides of the strap pulled and then it's snapped down at the hand carry length. And then if you want to make it shoulder length, you pop the buttons open and then you slide the strap up and then you snap it together at the top and you have these little tabs. So I'll put in a photo really quickly again of what I'm talking about. But you have this little bit that ends up right at the very top of the shoulder strap. And what I found with that, when I went into the store, I actually really, really liked the look of the Astoria shoulder bag. But I was only interested in it in the 2 versions, the cream or that like lavender color that had, I think it was a big floral design kind of debossed into it or on it, whatever it was. Because those 2 versions had a hidden magnetic closure with the little top flap. And I really liked that. So when I went into the store, I asked the sales associate that was working if she had any of those in stock. And she actually did. She had one in the cream color, the off-white. And she brought it out to me and I was playing around with it in the store. And I lengthened the strap out as far as it would go for the shoulder length. And I put it on my shoulder and I just walked around the store with it for a little bit. And there was nothing in the bag and the leather was incredibly lightweight. But I could feel it on my shoulder. The little part at the top where, you know, you snapped it together and just that little kind of bit at the top. And I thought to myself, well, if I put my stuff in it, I don't even carry that much. It's not that heavy. But if I put my stuff into it and I had that on my shoulder for an extended period of time, is that going to start to dig in the way that the 2 little double knots with the slide string straps dig into the top of my shoulder? And so ultimately I didn't buy it. Now, I don't know if it would have started to dig in or not because I didn't buy it, so I haven't used it. But it's just something that occurred to me. And so again, it's just, I feel like the shoulder straps with the snap are a much better design than the string straps where you constantly slide it back and forth with all the friction and the knots and all of that. But I still feel like it could have been designed a little better in a different way. Okay, my second kind of major dislike with the rebrand is the resurgence of the button loop closures. Again, I know that this goes all the way back to the olden days of Vera Bradley, kind of the OG days. There were several styles back then that they brought out here and there that had the little button loop closures, but the big one was the Vera tote, right? We can all remember that little toggle that was on the front side, and then the loop was on the back, and if you wanted to secure your Vera tote in any way, shape, or form, you would pull those 2 panels together at the top, and you would bring the loop over, and you would put it around the little toggle, and that would keep the front and back of your bag kind of pulled together at the top to give you a little bit more security. The funny thing about that is I can't remember a single person that I ever knew or saw that actually used the little toggle with the loop. Nobody used it. Now, I'm sure that could have been for a few different reasons, the ease and convenience of just having your bag open and being able to get in and out of it. But just like with the daggone strap thing that I can't let go, if you use that little button with the loop, if you continue to use that over and over and over to close your bag, what's going to happen? The little loop is going to rub on the button and you're going to get wear. You're going to get wear on the loop. You're going to get it all around the button. And for those people that did actually use the little toggle loop closure way back in the day, I can still find you photos on eBay of older Vera Bradley bags that are missing the toggle. Because even though it's not a ton of pressure, the little loop sitting around that toggle, constantly rubbing and pulling this way and that way, it just frays the fabric and the stitching that's holding the little toggle or button on there, and eventually it pops off and it's gone. So that's exactly what's going to happen to all of these bags. Again, in my opinion, just based on my own experience with this style of closure. And again, it comes back to me having this feeling of, as time goes forward, we're supposed to innovate and change and make improvements. And I realize that that doesn't always happen. There are setbacks all the time across all different categories, right? But for the most part, when it comes to design, fashion design, that kind of thing, innovation is supposed to bring us forward and we're supposed to make improvements. And I feel like this was a regression. I fully get that it's a throwback to their heritage and people get nostalgic about features like that they can remember, back on their first Vera Bradley bags, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But it's not a good functional closure, in my opinion. And that to me is just one of the most basic configurations for a closure that you can put on a handbag, which is a point that I'll come back to again in a minute. But regardless of the aesthetic, even if you like the look of the little button and loop closure, I just don't feel like it's practical. I don't feel like it's going to stand the test of time. I feel like it's going to wear out. Your bag just isn't going to look very good in a few years because that closure, if you use it, it's going to wear out. And I know I sound like a broken record right here, but I know it in my gut. That's what's going to happen. And then if you choose not to use it, like we all did back in the day with our Vera totes, then I feel like it just makes your bag look a little because it's not properly closed. It's not properly put together. You have a little button here and this little random loop hanging off of like a flap or off the back side of the bag, and it's just not my favorite, you guys. I feel like the string straps and the button loop closures should have been left in the past where they were. And some features that Vera Bradley already had, they shouldn't have dropped. They should have brought them forward with them into the rebrand. But they didn't do that. They dropped all the good features. So let me move on to my next point because I'm starting to ramble and get fired up. Okay, point number 3 on my dislikes is going to be really short, really sweet, really simple. I just am not a huge fan of the new patterns and styles. There are exceptions to that, of course, just like I told you. I love that metallic purple. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I like a couple of the patterns, but a lot of them, to me, lack the dimension and the design that previous or pre-rebrand Vera Bradley had. The designs just seem more simple, less detailed, less intricate. I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of the new patterns. Again, like I said, there are a couple that I do like, but for the most part, I would say 85% of them I just don't care for. Whether it be the color scheme or the pattern itself or whatever the case may be, I'm just not a huge fan. And then the actual designs of the new bags, well, you've already heard me gripe and moan about the straps and the closures on the bags. For the majority of them, I'm just not a huge fan. I'm not a big tote girl, so I don't go for the big totes typically. And from what I saw of those, the majority of the totes are incredibly simple. Like, I can't even recall if I saw an exterior pocket on any of the tote styles that I looked at. Granted, I didn't look at a lot of the totes. Yeah, there was one. I remember seeing one outside pocket on one of the tote styles, but I don't, again, like I said, the straps, the hook and, or the button and loop closures, like, I'm just not a huge fan of the design features that they put on the new bags and the overall kind of shapes and styles of the new bags. So, and along with that goes the sizes of the bags. It may just be me. Y'all let me know how you feel, but it seems to me like the bags are either huge or tiny. And there are just maybe a couple of them in there that are that kind of sweet spot medium size that I prefer. You may have no issue with it. I'm just speaking personally for myself. I don't want a teeny, teeny, tiny bag, and I don't want a gigantic bag. I want something in that mid range, that middle size. And I don't see a lot of those with the new styles that they brought out. So, again, that's just kind of another reason why I guess I'm not being really drawn to the new styles. So between not being really, really excited about the majority of the new handbag styles, and then also not being overly drawn to any of the patterns quite yet, well, you saw what I've picked up so far. It's not much, especially compared to how much I used to purchase and how many bags I used to buy. So whatever the reason may be, that is completely, my personal opinion, my personal preference. I'm just not really being drawn to the new handbag styles or the patterns that they have out right now. And then my last gripe, my last really big kind of dislike when it comes to Vera Bradley post the rebrand is the fact that the exact same bag style can look completely different and have completely different features depending on what material it's in. To me, they don't even end up looking like the same bag style. Let me give you an example. This is like the most obvious primary example that I can give you for what I'm talking about with this one. So I believe this is a newer style that they brought out. It's called the Tifton shoulder bag, okay? So you can see that they have it offered in nylon, smooth leather, or a woven faux leather. So if we look at the woven faux leather first, we can see the entire bag is woven faux leather. It has kind of a chunkier shoulder strap, and then it has the two little flaps that are a closure, and I think there's a magnet right in the center, right? That is the Tifton shoulder bag in the woven faux leather. Okay, then if we go to the nylon version, okay, the Tifton shoulder bag in the nylon has a zipper. There's no quilting. It's a flat nylon. This bag looks completely different to the woven faux leather version, right? Those to me look like two completely different handbag styles. They're both shoulder bags, but they have different features. The straps are different. They have different closures. Okay, and then if we actually move into the smooth leather version, okay, on this one, again, we're back to the flap closure with the magnet in the center, which I love. I love a hidden magnetic closure. But look at that strap again. Okay, the strap on this one is wide, and it has a big buckle on the side of it. If I put all three of those bags right next to each other, which I'll do, I'll put all three photos right here for you. Those, to me, look like three completely different handbag styles. And not just because they're in different materials, because their features are completely different. Two of them have the flaps with the magnets. One has a zipper closure. One of them is woven and looks like a Bottega inspired bag. One is in a flat kind of nylon with the zipper. The other one is in a smooth leather and has a much kind of boxier shape to it. And then has that wide shoulder strap with the buckle. Those look like three completely different handbags to me. But all three of those are listed as the Tifton shoulder bag. That drives me up a wall. So, if you go in to look at a particular bag style, right, and say that you're not really paying super, super close attention, and this actually happened to me. Let's go to the Astoria shoulder bag. I told you earlier that I really liked the look of the cream colored one that had the embossing in it, or whatever it is. Well, part of the reason that I was really drawn to that style was because it had the flaps with the hidden magnetic closure, which I love the look of the Tifton shoulder bag that I just showed you in the leather that's a little boxier. But I tried it on in the store, and that shoulder strap, you guys, was like 2 dang inches wide, and I hated it. So it didn't work. But the Astoria shoulder bag, back to that. Loved the cream version because it had the hidden magnetic closure. That was the first one I looked at when I got to the Astoria shoulder bag. Well, I wasn't too sure if I would really, really love it. It was still full retail price at that time. So I started looking at the other material options. And when I looked at the cotton versions, I thought, well, these are a lot more inexpensive. Maybe I'll just get one of these and try it and see if I like the style. I wasn't crazy about any of the patterns, but I was willing to give the style a try to see if I wanted to pick up that leather one. And I was flipping through the photos, and because those bags were patterned, I wasn't paying really, really close attention. And I put one in my cart, and I went to check out. And when I went to check out, I just happened to notice the little button and loop closure on it. And I thought, what the hell? The other one I looked at had that hidden magnetic closure, and that's part of what I really, really liked about that bag. So I went back and started looking. Well, in the Astoria shoulder bag, the cotton version has the button and loop. The nylon version has a zipper. The leather versions, the regular leather versions, are back to the button and loop closure. But the two kind of special versions that had the embossing on them, they had the hidden magnetic closure. But they were also the most expensive versions in that bag. So what I'm saying is that they'll have a bag style listed, and you have all your material options under there. And if you see a feature that really draws you into one of those bag styles, and you think, well, I really like this feature, but I like this material better, if you're not paying close attention, you may not realize that when you switch material, those features change as well. So I hate the inconsistency across different materials when it comes to the same bag style, if that makes sense. To me, if you're going to call it the exact same handbag style, then the features should be the exact same, even if the base material of the bag changes. There's just no consistency within the designs across different materials, and that can really trip people up if they're not paying super close attention. So I guess the majority of my dislikes kind of lead me to the point of saying, really, really inspect what you're about to purchase and look at the features and that particular item really closely and make sure that you know what you're getting. Read all the information, know what kind of material it is, look at all of the closures and the straps, and just look at it as closely as you can so that when you receive it, you don't have a what the, one of those moments, because I definitely would have. Okay, I've been super negative for a while, and I've also been yapping for like an hour and a half at this point. I really need to learn how to shut up. Let's get into my likes, the things I really like after the rebrand, and I'm going to try to speed through these a little quicker, and then I'll just give you my, overview thoughts. Point number one, I still love their customer service. I personally have never had a bad experience with Vera Bradley customer service, whether it be in-store or online. I take that back. I went to place a phone order one time, and the girl I got on the phone was just not pleasant in the least. But that's the only time. So there were some issues with some of the items that I ordered initially, and I contacted customer service, and they fixed it like that. I mean, they still have great customer service, so I do really like that. They kept the great customer service even after the rebrand. The second one is I like the price range options. So, depending on your budget or what style you like, there is a wide price range. So, if you don't really have it in your budget to maybe buy the $200 leather version, maybe you like the nylon version or the cotton version that's $100. So, I like that there is a good range of prices that people can choose from. I think that will help to keep people coming back, as long as they can keep at least a range of their items that are fairly affordable, then I think that's always a positive for them. So even though they do have some pricier items, I like the price ranges where there's something if you're on a tighter budget, or something if you want to spend a little bit more and get something a little bit more premium. Along the same kind of viewpoint, my next like after the rebrand is I do like the range of materials that they offer. So you can get handbags in, I think, like 7 or 8 different materials. So they have the premium cotton, the nylon, leather, Oxford canvas, the faux leather, the performance twill, and I can't read my writing on those last two. But I do like that they have a wide range of fabrics. So if you're someone that doesn't support buying or using leather handbags, you have a variety of other options that you can choose from. If you're someone that loves a good leather bag, you have a range of leather. If you're someone looking for a material that's going to be more water resistant or weather resistant, then you can look at the performance twill or the nylon. So I do appreciate that they kept or brought in, I guess, a wide range of materials for us to choose from when it comes to our different items. My next like, and I realize I'm getting through these a whole lot quicker than I was my gripes. But my next like is I do actually really like the colors that they've brought in. I said I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the patterns or the new handbag styles, but I do like the colors. They have beautiful greens and reds and that metallic purple. Again, this one was just like, I don't know, like the heavens parted a little bit when I saw this one and the light shone down on it, and it was just like, oh. But I do really like the colors that they're bringing in now, the brighter colors, the fun colors. So I'm hoping that where I'm starting to like more of the colors, that'll translate into some of the newer patterns as I start bringing them out. So I'm hopeful. And then my last point for the likes, is that I do like what they did with their website. And I know this is probably not what y'all thought I was going to talk about when it comes to the likes, but I like the website. I like that even though I feel like the handbags in different materials end up looking completely different, like completely different styles, I like that you can go into the Astoria shoulder bag, and instead of having to individually click on it to look at it in the cotton and then go back and then find it in the leather and then go back and find it in the nylon, I like that all of those material options for that style are listed on that same page for you, and you can just click and look at them. It's a lot more convenient than having to go back to your previous page and find the leather listing and then click into a completely separate listing. The website also seems to be fairly smooth. It operates really, really well. So I do like the fact that they took the time to design a more practical, more functional website for our shopping experience, basically. And then one last point, and this one could be a pro or a con, just depending on how you want to look at it. But based on everything that I played with in store and everything that I felt, it was all, and again, I'm referring to the handbags here, every material that I picked up was extremely lightweight. So if you're someone that has like shoulder issues or back issues, that's going to be fantastic for you. But on the flip side of it, depending on how you feel, an extremely lightweight leather can occasionally not feel like the most high quality leather, if that makes sense. So depending on the material and what you're looking at, the fact that it's extremely lightweight could be a pro or a con. So to give y'all my overall thoughts, the biggest thing that I can say is I'm pretty disappointed. When I initially heard about the rebrand, that they were going to be doing it, I was pretty indifferent initially, but the more I thought about it in my mind, I started to veer toward the train of thought that they would take all the really great kind of core elements that made them what they were, right? Really lightweight, beautifully patterned, really functional handbags and accessories, and they would modernize it for us. They would give us even better features. They would keep the lightweight factor. They would keep the functional pockets and the really comfortable straps, and they would give us new design innovations that were just as practical and just as functional and just as beautiful, just in a more modern version. I thought they might experiment with new quilting patterns or techniques, or they might bring in new fabrics again, but I didn't really expect them to essentially go back to the very beginning and drop out all of those features that we love. The really great, comfortable, super adjustable straps, the really practical and functional closures like the zippers, and give us the string straps again and the little button loop closures again. It felt to me like instead of going forward with their rebrand, that they essentially regressed back into the past. Even some of the patterns that they brought out feel more dated than what their patterns prior to the rebrand felt. So, yeah, my overall feelings, I've just been really disappointed with it. Like I said, I don't like the majority of the styles that they have brought forward. I'm not crazy about the majority of the patterns. They feel dated to me. They don't feel fresh and modern, and they're not as detailed or as thoughtful as the patterns were before, at least in my opinion. That's completely my perception. You may feel differently, but yeah, to me, it's just been a huge disappointment. I have tried my best to look at the website and go into store time to time whenever I can and try out new styles and look at the new patterns and see if there's anything that really draws me in, because if you were around my channel way back when, then you'll know that Vera Bradley is what actually made me start my channel. Vera Bradley is my first handbag love when it comes to legitimately loving nearly everything about a brand. Like I said, I loved the lightweight bags, the beautiful, bright, fun patterns, the really practical and functional features like the comfortable straps and the secure closures and the exterior pockets for convenience and the interior pockets for organization. And I just feel like they decided to do this rebrand and they dropped all of that. And quite frankly, if I'm being completely honest with you, while I don't feel like there's been a huge price increase in the new handbag styles, there's been a small one. I feel like there's been a small increase, but it's not been huge. But I feel like based on the decisions that they made for the design of the bags, and again, I'm talking about going back to those string straps where there's less hardware, less fabric that they're even working with, less length, less everything. And the button and loop closures where, again, there's less hardware, no zippers, there's less manpower or it's less labor intensive, right? If you have to sew a zipper in, that takes more skill and more time than a button and a loop. If there was like a hidden magnetic closure, which some of those do have a hidden magnetic closure, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the button and loop is just extremely simplified. I almost feel like they chose to go back and use these string straps and the little button loop closures to give us that nostalgic sense, but secretly I almost feel like it was just to cut costs. Because again, that string strap cost less to make than the previous straps that had the nice clips on the end that rotated and turned and had the hardware, and the strap was wider and it was more comfortable, and it had the hardware bit where you could slide it and adjust it. That strap probably costs quite a bit more than the string strap, right? And then the zipper or the hidden magnet or the other closures, I'm sure those cost more than the little button and fabric loop, right? So I feel like it was almost just a ploy to make us think that it was a throwback to the old days, but it was just a cost-cutting measure. Because I feel like even the handbag designs themselves, you don't see very many exterior pockets. You don't see the features in those handbags that pre-rebrand Vera Bradley bags had. And I feel like it was all in a cost-cutting measure. They could have an argument, I suppose, to say that the sleeker, more simplified versions of these handbags are more modernized without all the pockets on the outside. And I don't care. I just don't care. To me, they cheapened the bags. They gave us features that were subpar to the features that we already had. the design team really kind of just shit the bed on the patterns and the designs that they're bringing out. Like, it's just been a big disappointment for me. That is my overall viewpoint of the rebrand. So I'm hoping that they bring out new patterns and handbag styles that I love, and that they bring back the really great adjustable, detachable straps that are super comfortable, and they give us better closures and more pockets and the little features that we loved about our bags. Because unless they don't, I can feel my kind of bond with the brand slowly dying off just a little bit more each day. And that's horribly sad, because I have been a fan of Vera Bradley for well over 2 decades at this point. So I can only hope that my opinion changes going forward. So I have literally been talking to you guys for almost 2 hours at this point. So I am going to zip it, because I know I sound like a broken record at this point. If you made it to this point and you actually stuck it out through this whole video and all of my rambling, then leave me a red heart emoji in the comments, because that is some dedication right there if you actually stuck with me through all this. But I hope you all have enjoyed this in some form or fashion. If you have any comments, questions, or you just want to say hello, then please leave me a comment down there where you leave me the comments. I can't think anymore. Let me know what you thought of the Vera Bradley rebrand. Did you like it? Is your opinion completely different than mine? Do you like those features that I hate? Let me know your opinion. We all have an opinion, and we're all entitled to our opinion. So let me know how you felt about it. Thank you so much for spending some of your incredibly precious time with me today, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.